Well, you all know Joey Jones. He's really great on TV. He's very patriotic, very articulate. He's got a fantastic new book out, Behind the Badge. You can get it at Amazon.com, and we're going to link to it on all of our platforms. Joey, how are you, my friend?
Hey, brother. I hope you're doing well. I am. I tell you, if you listen to that hold music, you're a lot groovier than I thought you were. That's some good stuff.
Yeah, I'm known as being groovy. I got to be honest with you. Let me tell you something. You do a hell of a job on TV. Now, I can't watch TV all the time, but when you're there, I try to watch. And what I get out of you is a hell of a lot of common sense, you know? You and patriotism. These are the two things that matter to me a whole lot. And this book about people you know and so forth and so on, I mean, it really touches your heartstrings. So tell us why you wrote it, why you chose who you chose, and what you're trying to do.
You know, I think I'm a pretty simple guy, and so it's an easy read, but man, it's impactful, and I just feel honored, blessed, if not chosen, to get to do it. I don't take any credit for it. People keep asking how I found these 9 people, and I laugh and say, well, they found me. I mean, you're talking about my brother-in-law, a guy that's been an uncle to me since I was 3 years old, a guy I went to Afghanistan with, a young lady that has an amazing story. She was assigned to be my security in Tampa as a police officer, and the event, I didn't really need security, so I asked her to come join us for dinner, and her boss just happened to be there and said, yeah, go ahead, and just learned her story that way. And all these people in this book were put in front of me, and God said, hey, I dare you to ignore them. And so we wrote a book about them.
All right, let's start at the beginning here. A lot of people see you. Some know your story. Tell us your story. Obviously, in a horrendous event, you lost your legs, and yet there you are. You're one of the most positive people I've ever... Look, you're more positive than I am. I'm a wet blanket, let's be honest. But when I watch you, you're positive, you're smiling, and I'm sure it's not every minute of the day, but at least that's how you present yourself.
Yeah, for those that don't know, I was in the Marine Corps for almost 8 years, and in 2010, I was working as what we would call an EOD or bomb tech, and stepped on an IED while I was working another one in Afghanistan, and lost both my legs above the knee, a couple other injuries. One of my arms didn't work right, missing a finger, just little things compared to the legs. And in my recovery very early on, I've got video to prove it. I said it'd be really wrong of me to be upset over losing my legs, because I didn't lose my legs. I was given a second chance at life. I should have died, and they kept me alive. So you can't resent what keeping me alive entailed. And so I guess having kids goes a long way with that. Knowing you still got to be a son, a brother, and hopefully one day be a husband at the time in my mind. And these responsibilities is what I looked at. The things I was still responsible for were really important to me. And those people and those things deserve my attention. So who am I to sit here and cry about it? And, you know, I realize if you work hard enough, man, most of that stuff that you think holds you back is just, it's not a big deal. And so here I am, 15 years later, come August, and had a chance to learn from a lot of good people and read and take some hip pocket wisdom from my dad and do the things we do now on television, and being analytical and providing too much opinion sometimes. But then having that platform gives you the chance. It's really special. It's the most valuable asset I have after my family, is that platform. Because when you get the chance to use it for something like this, man, it changes lives.
Talking to Joey Jones, he's got this fantastic book. I think it's number 1 on the New York Times list, isn't it? I think I just sold it.
Can you believe that? The fact that the New York Times had to bend the knee and give a Fox News book number 1 means that we really did well. And so that's all thanks to people like yourself willing to have me on and talk about the book, and then the 9 people in it.
It's due to you. You don't give yourself enough credit. The book is Behind the Badge. All right, let's pick one of these 9 people and give us a feel for the book and what is it that you write about one of these 9 people.
Sure, and it's almost unfair, but any of the 9. So I'll go with Justin Heflin. Justin Heflin is a guy that he was a Marine EOD tech as well. Is what we call it. As I was leaving Afghanistan, his unit was getting there. I knew who he was. He did multiple deployments in the Marine Corps. Did one tough one in Afghanistan, taking bombs apart. Justin grew up on a Marine Corps base. His dad was a Marine, then got out and became a cop. His dad was using ephedrine tablets when they were legal. And he worked in a small town, so he didn't have a great cop salary, so he did security at night, used those as veteran tablets to stay awake, and eventually he lost his job because of them. Not a bad guy, made a bad decision. Justin comes home from Afghanistan years later, becomes a police officer, eventually becomes an Indiana trooper, which is, elite for that type of work. And Justin's on a call one night, and they say, hey, we've had a fatality, a man on a bicycle struck by a car. He's rushing to the scene because that's his job. And on a road that nobody's ever on, a car speeds past him, so he has to turn around and pull the speeder over. He hears a call coming on the radio about what happened. They're kind of making jokes because that's what we do to get ourselves through traumatic experiences. Nothing mean, but just kind of lighten the mood, dark humor. He enjoys it, chimes in with it, gets back to the office that night and finds out the guy on the bicycle that was killed by a car was his dad. And so Justin's story has this sad, traumatic incident, but from it comes redemption. Justin is the best trooper you could be. He was the best Marine you could be. He honors his dad every day by creating a new legacy. And a few years later, Justin was at a scene where someone was about to expire in a bad crash. Justin couldn't get to him, but he could hold his hand and tell him everything's going to be okay. And he was holding his hand when he passed away. And in that moment, he was reminded of the teenager that held his dad's hand when he couldn't be there. And it all kind of came full circle for him. And that's just one story of many in Justin's chapter where, you just get put in these situations to either risk your life or save others or both. And we have all these people in this country that make the right decision, even though it's a tough one.
That's Joey Jones. The book really pulls at your heartstrings, Behind the Badge, and you do get a lot out of this book. I'll tell you what I got out of your fantastic book. Nothing that I complain about, have to deal with every day compares to anything that these people have been through. Nothing. And it really gives you perspective and hope and changes your mindset. And I think that's at least part of the purpose of the book, is it not?
That's exactly right. The lesson is simple. The worst days of our lives, and I opened the book up talking about the night my dad fell on the floor lifeless, and firemen came to work on him and kept him alive for another day so I could say bye to him. But the worst days of our lives is another shift for them. But it's not benign to them. They carry that every time. And a lot of times they don't know the outcome. They sent my dad to the hospital in an ambulance, and they went on back to the fire hall and probably had another call that night. And so this idea that the worst days of our lives are another shift for them, and we spend all this time talking about veterans' mental health, and we have a whole department of the government dedicated to fixing it. Anything's on the table. Congress is voting on hallucinogens to help with it. We're willing to do anything for veterans' mental health. And we don't take a moment to understand that these men and women that are first responders live in their battlefield. They drive their kids to school to the same intersection that someone died in front of them at last night, and their mental health is so important, but we don't have a lot of resources for them, so we can at least appreciate them.
I want to encourage you, folks, go to Amazon.com. You can get a great book, Behind the Badge, by Joey Jones. You've seen him on TV. Very compelling. The book is very, very compelling, very, very helpful for your own mental state. I can tell you that. It's easy to get down about things that are going on and so forth, and then when you realize what other people are going through, and maybe some of you are going through it too, and it can help you too, but you find your chin is up. My wife tells me this all the time. She says, put yourself in the shoes of other people. This book reminds me of that, Behind the Badge. Now, Joey, I'm sure you've mentioned this 1,000 times, but not to my audience. So give the public a little feel for where you grew up. You grew up in Little Town, USA.
I did. I grew up in a town called Dalton, Georgia, and some of your audience may know it, especially if they're in the business of building homes or anything like that. That's where all the flooring is made. All the carpet pretty much in the world in the 90s and 2000s was made in Dalton, Georgia. Now they make all the flooring that people use for other things. So if you didn't work in one of those carpet mills, you probably didn't have a job. And thankfully, my dad didn't like being inside, so he was a brick and block mason. So I grew up in farm country in northwest Georgia, foothills of the mountains, and laid brick and block outside and enjoyed every minute of it.
What caused you to join the Marines? Was there an event, or it's just something you felt you wanted to do?
I was laying brick and block in July. It was about 102 degrees, 103 degrees. My hands were bleeding, sweat was in my eyes. And I thought, if I'm going to work this hard and feel it this much, I might as well have a pretty uniform to show for it. My best friends have been talking to me about the Marine Corps. I knew it was the most difficult. I didn't even want to go to the other services. And really, this is 2005, so we're in the middle of the war. We were recruiting really heavy. And, you know, you go to the Air Force and like, hey, we'll give you a trade skill and a job you can use after service. You go to the Navy, like, hey, you can have free medical for the rest of your life. You go to the Army, like, hey, we'll give you the GI Bill. You can go to college after. I went to the Marine Corps, and they said, you know what, you might have what it takes to be a Marine, but you're going to have to earn it, and you're welcome to try. And that's what I responded to, and the Marine Corps was perfect for me.
It's interesting. My grandfather, who was dirt poor, and he and his brother-in-law, when we were attacked at Pearl Harbor, they just went up and they signed up for Marines, and boy, they got Iwo Jima, Guam, Guadalcanal, you know, tough. And you know what's interesting?
Wow.
They wouldn't talk about it.
Well,
they never talked about it.
Yeah. Have you ever read the book With the Old Breed by Henry Sledge?
No, but I've heard it.
I'm sorry. His son is Henry that just wrote a new book, but E.B. Sledge wrote it. He's one of the guys they based the Pacific off of. I'll get Henry to send you a copy of the book.
Oh, I'd love it.
He was Tarawa and Okinawa, but he served with guys that were at Guadalcanal. So it was a Pacific campaign. And, you know, I know we're on a tangent now, but I think your audience appreciate it. We don't celebrate the Marines in the Pacific near enough. We think about raising the flag on Iwo Jima, but we don't talk about the other islands and just how difficult they were and just how much those men fought. You know, most of our hygiene in the Marine Corps today, we can't have a beard, and we go through all this extenuous hygiene now, even when we're in combat, and it's because things were so tough on those islands that they lost a lot of Marines just to bad hygiene, the inability to escape it. And so much of our warfare is shaped from it, and we're going back to it because we feel like China's the threat in the Pacific. So our whole Marine Corps is oriented back from those direct lessons learned from your dad.
It's amazing. It's amazing. We have an all-volunteer military, isn't it? And now, at least, the number of the young people who sign up, guys like you. I got to tell you something. I don't know if you know this. Years ago, I left a little voicemail on your phone. I don't know you. I mean, I know you more now than I've ever talked to you, just to thank you. And because watching you on TV, I mean, you lose part of your body. You do something like that. That's a real man. That's a patriot. You know, I can talk, and I do my thing as best as I can do it, but that's different. What you do is different. And I will just tell you, when I go to these military cemeteries, Arlington and so forth, I walk down and I look at these young guys who've died, and it's row after row after row. And the American people, I think, do appreciate this very, very much, particularly those of us who don't serve, realize what guys like you have done. And I want you to go and get this book. It's a damn good book. Behind the Badge by Joey Jones. He's a good man. Any final words, my friend?
Hey, listen, you're a good man, too. There's all kinds of ways to serve, and I consider you very much a man of service. And on the thought of those tombstones and those graves, they're just a bunch of the same. You got to go and read the name to even tell them apart. And it'll be my greatest honor when I die one day and become one of those tombstones. I won't be a guy on TV or anything special. I'll be one of 100,000, and I'll be proud to be there.
Well, you're a good man. God bless you, my friend. You're welcome anytime. Joey Jones, Behind the Badge. Go get it, folks. Amazon.com. You take care of yourself.
Thank you, brother.
All right. God bless.